I have always had an exaggerated fear of being completely submerged in water. It wasn't that I couldn't swim or anything like that. My father made me learn. He said he almost died by drowning when he was very small. But no, my fear came from something else. Since I can remember, whenever I'm underwater and I look up toward the surface, I see a woman leaning toward me. A woman smiling with bright golden hair and deep blue eyes. Even if I'm in a bathtub, she still appears to me. Over time it became normal for me in the sense that I expected it, but I never truly got used to it. As a child, I never really talked to my father about it. But I did ask him about my mother. He was very reserved about the subject, and sometimes he even got angry at me when I insisted. A few weeks ago, I wrote to him about the appearance. We were driving in the car when we almost crashed into a phone booth. Obviously, he knew something. I asked him again about my mother, and he still didn't say much, only that she died when I was very young, and that she loved me. He admitted her hair and her eyes were like those of the woman I described. Like mine. I had to do some research on my own. I got her name from my birth certificate and searched for anything I could find, any news, any reference to a child almost drowning. What I wanted was a photograph. Something I could compare, something to match my guardian angel. Today, hidden inside a local library, I found this. Maria Blanco, 28 years old, lost her life by drowning last night after jumping a wire fence and escaping toward the pier near the psychiatric hospital. A funeral has been planned by the family for the 25th. The file added that Maria had been confined for 6 months after being found not guilty of attempted murder on the grounds of insanity. Her husband, Daniel Blanco, had acted in time to save their child when he found her, trying to drown their son in the bathtub. And then the article mentioned an old practice, something from European towns up until the end of the 19th century. They used to place small holes in coffins. A long copper tube would be connected to a bell. The idea was simple. If someone had been buried alive by mistake, they would still be able to breathe through the tube and alert rescuers with the bell. Whether you believe it or not, it was a fairly common error at the time. In one small town cemetery, when the graveyard bell rang, the gravedigger went to check whether it was just children playing a prank, or sometimes, it really was only the wind. But this time, it wasn't any of those things. A voice, coming from below, begged to be dug up. "Is it you, Sarah Obanon?" the gravedigger asked. "Yes," the voice answered from underground. "Did you born on September 17, 1827? "Yes, September 17th. The gravestone says you died February 20th. "No, I'm alive. It was a mistake. Dig me up, please. Dig me up." "I'm sorry, ma'am," the gravedigger said as he tore away the bell and covered the tube with dirt. "But it's August, and here there is no Sarah Obanon buried." Whatever she was, he was sure she wasn't there by mistake. And he was even more sure he wouldn't let her out. Asterisk asterisk. Another story, another warning. I drive for a small textile factory. My job isn't heavy, but I handle deliveries, small materials, back and forth. I'm not exactly a freight driver, so my hours are during the day. One night, my boss called around 8 p.m. We had to cover an emergency order and I needed to pick up fabric to begin production. It was urgent, and there wasn't much material to bring, so I decided to use my own vehicle. It was late, yes, but it wasn't the first time I'd driven at those hours. I turned on the radio to keep myself entertained during the long trip and drove for a while until I reached a road like those you only find at night. Empty, no streetlights, and where at certain hours almost no cars pass. I hadn't realized how long and wide that stretch was, the enormous straight stretch of deserted asphalt I was taking. I looked in the rearview mirror and saw nothing. Not for kilometers, or at least it seemed that way. Then I looked again. Something was running toward me, a few hundred meters away. It was moving on 4 legs. I couldn't make out much detail. more than a brown blur charging at me at full speed. I told myself it might be a deer. A stupid idea, because there are no deer in this area. But at that moment, it was the most logical thing I wanted to believe. I looked again. Now the thing was running right behind my car. I got scared, really scared, so I accelerated as hard as my engine would allow. To my shock, it kept the pace. That's when I knew it wasn't an animal. It couldn't be something normal. Nothing could run that fast. I pressed the accelerator all the way down. This time I was going too fast. My car started to vibrate in a strange way, like it was about to break apart. And then the thing was closing in on my door. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw it running beside me, level with the window, right next to me. I felt it watching. I could feel it looking, matching my speed. I didn't want to turn my head. I only accelerated. I don't know if it was seconds or minutes, but it felt like an eternity. It kept running beside me, observing me. I was sure it wanted me to look at it. I could feel that intention. Maybe when it realized I wouldn't, it looked forward again and ran ahead of my car at a speed that was impossible, vanishing into the darkness farther than my headlights could reach. I have no idea what that thing was. But later, by the side of the road, I saw a pile of crosses, those placed where people died. Too many. Like there had been a massive accident there. Until that moment, I'd never paid attention. But I couldn't stop thinking that those crosses might be a warning to drivers who dared to look, who tried to see what was running in the road. Because the moment you looked, you were already too close. Asterisk asterisk. A couple decided to spend a night alone, away from home. They contacted their usual babysitter, Abril, a neighbor they trusted with their 2 small children. When the kids fell asleep, Abril went upstairs the way she always did, into the main bedroom, to watch a little television. Minutes later, the father's cell phone started ringing. Worried, he answered right away. "Hello? Yes, Abril. This is Abril. Is everything okay over there?" "Yes, everything is fine, sir. I'm calling to ask if I can cover the angel statue you have beside your window with a sheet or a tablecloth. It makes me very nervous." The father went quiet for a moment. "Abril," he said, "listen to me. Go with the kids and close the door. We're coming over there. We don't have any angel statue in the house." The parents arrived minutes later, but they found nobody. Abril's body was found floating a month later in a lake several kilometers from their home. And no one ever heard from the children again.